Welcome to the LCS. My name is Nick Geracie, and I'm here with Cloud9's support star, Smoothie, following a fantastic victory over TSM. How are you feeling today, Smoothie?
Well, it seemed like they were kind of targeting me in the game, so I kind of felt bad. And I was like 0-3, and my team was doing really well in the mid and top side, so they kind of carried me today, but we ended up team fighting really well, so I'm still overall pretty happy.
As one of the main voices in your team, primary shot caller, I believe, do you find it difficult to kind of shot call from those games where it's even, but you personally are doing individually poorly, or so are being targeted with these big five-man ganks, so to speak?
Well, for me personally, I don't care as much if I'm, like, I guess, behind. My team usually has a pretty good plan on what they want to do topside too. So if I'm behind, they usually know what they want to do. Like, for example, Licorice and Svenskar, they want a 2v2 topside, so they were pretty strong, and they had a pretty good idea of what they want to do. So even if I'm behind and we can't do much on our side, I can always ask, like, oh, or Licorice is really strong, so what can we do in topside? We're going to stay safe bot, and we can just farm. And yeah, it worked out that way.
Cloud9's got two new players on the top side that you were speaking about there, Licorice and Svenskar, who were viewed as individual downgrades to the previous Cloud9 teammates that you had. What do you think people misjudged about them? Because clearly things are going pretty well there.
Well, I mean, case-by-case scenarios, like Svenskar, he's been historically, for the last 2 years, LCS champions, like, twice in a row, maybe a few times, I think it's twice actually, but he's been doing really well, and just from one bad Worlds performance, everyone just thinks he's bad now. That's not how it works, right? Like, we as pro players know, like, who has potential and who is really good, and we saw that in Svenskar, so we picked him up. And for Licorice, he was doing really well in the Challenger Series on United before, so he was always and he actually used to be on C9 before, on our academy team actually, like a while back. So we already knew he was a very good player, and I guess that's why we picked him up. Yeah, I mean, on paper, sure, like, Licorice isn't a world champion or former world champion, and contracts performed really well at Worlds. So on paper, for sure, like, they were downgrades, but I think Cloud9 as an org is a really good learning environment for all new players. Like, for example, myself, I was a pretty bad player before. I didn't really know macro, but I think Reaper taught me a lot, and I learned really fast because all the players are really vocal or in review, and we all learn at a rapid rate compared to other teams.
So yeah, speaking to also the older players in Cloud9, you and Sneaky yourself have been just absolutely smashing bot lanes this year, whereas before Sneaky's, Sneaky and lane meme and the whole, and you're very well known for your roams to other lanes. What have you guys changed as a duo that has made you guys so much more dominant in the laning phase this year?
Well, I think that the biggest change in my mind is that we actually talk to each other more. Like, in game, before we didn't really actually talk that much. We always had, like, our own plans, and it usually worked out because we're pretty solid individual players. But nowadays, I think it's a really easy process, laning phase, because me and Sneaky are just constantly back and forth information, and we both are on the same page almost 100% of the time. So it allows me to do what I want with my roams, and allows him to, like, ask for what he wants from me. And it's just a really, really easy learning process when that's available to you. And I think we're just a strong duo, just because yeah, we've been playing for a long time with each other, and we've got that synergy.
Cloud9 has been lauded this split specifically for integrating their new players, as we said before. You also have been highlighted as a potential MVP candidate for the spring split early on. Do you think that type of critique is justified for the way that you've played so far?
Every time I get asked, like, this kind of question, do I deserve MVP? I don't really like to say, like, oh yeah, I'm, like, the best support player in NA right now by far. I don't like saying that stuff at all. I like to keep myself humble, because every time I feel like we're smashing scrims, doing really well. Last year's playoffs for Signitas, we were doing really well in scrims, and you see how that went, right? But nowadays, I mean, if I get it, I get it. It'd be a lot to me, because I've been on Cloud9 and I never won anything. I've been to Worlds, gotten furthest to Worlds twice in 2 years in a row. I've been to second place in finals twice, yeah. And yeah, I never actually won anything. So I want a trophy to my name, or want some kind of title, and I want my team to, like, be able to lift the trophy in this iteration, and every iteration I'm part of Cloud9.
Well, so far so good. Halfway through the season here, Cloud9 tied for first place at 8-1 in the LCS spring split. It's often easy to kind of, we're winning every game, let's not worry about the flaws that we still have. What are you focusing on as a team for the second half of the spring split?
For me, I think just focusing more on scrims, I guess, because a lot of our games end up becoming really messy, and especially during the end of the day, everyone's tired, everyone's kind of fatigued, right? So I don't know as much to do about it, but ideally we play all our scrim games really cleanly, and that's one of the biggest things I wanted to focus on, and hopefully we can get past our little occasional troll games, which happen a lot.
Well, they're certainly not happening very often on stage. Yeah. Thank you so much for the interview, Smoothie. Is there anything you'd like to say to the Cloud9 faithful or anybody else?
Yeah, I guess thanks everybody for kind of hyping me up for being an MVP candidate. Like, I really appreciate it, but I don't know, if I deserve it, I deserve it. I will keep working hard, and hopefully we can win this LCS finals this year.